So I've mentioned effective communication in quite a few of my videos, and I figured I would define what I mean by this because I think most people think they are effective and wonderful communicators, which would largely be inaccurate. Sorry to burst your bubble. Effective communication does not mean effortless communication. It takes a lot of work to effectively communicate. So if you're putting no effort into your communication, you're likely not being effective. And I believe I've mentioned this in one of my videos before. I may have cut it because of time constraints in these videos, but it is extremely difficult to transmit 100% of a meaning of what you are trying to communicate to another person. We could get pretty darn close with a lot of effort and know-how, but still, even then, whatever we are visualizing is not going to be 100% transmitted to that other person. And here's why. Filters. Every bit of information that we receive from our environment goes through filters to determine how we should process and receive this information. Our senses are our first sensors. Our seeing, our hearing, our smelling. Then it gets processed by our experiences, and our perceptions of those experiences create our personalities. So once that's been added and processed and mixed around in our brains, we then add our values from our friends, from our family, from a role model, from complete strangers even, and then add on top of that our beliefs. This is what determines how we perceive what somebody else is communicating to us. So you can see how convoluted this becomes. Everybody has different experiences. Even somebody or two different people that experience the same thing are going to take away different memories and attach those to different experiences, and even just the same experience. So you bring all those experiences back with you, add the values, add the beliefs, add your senses, whatever you smelled. Heck, maybe you don't smell, so you really heard something but the other person smelled it. Not saying anything. So there's already all of those challenges that you have to try to hurdle over, right? But then you add, maybe somebody has hearing loss. Not in construction. That's unrealistic, right? I even have hearing loss. I have to turn my head to hear people, and I don't even work in the field. So you add that to it when you can't understand all of the words that the people are trying to communicate. How much more is that dropping in your understanding of what's trying to be communicated? I haven't done the research, but I know it drops. I know it. But this is why whenever you're communicating, that's why it can never be 100%. Nobody ever experiences the exact same things going through their lives. So to make sense of anything anybody is saying, we're taking in cues. We're taking in their body language, right? We're taking in these nonverbal cues, the tone of their voice, and trying to process exactly how they're saying it or what they are trying to communicate it to us. And then searching around in our brains, trying to figure out what experience we can attach it to make sense of it within our own brain. So this is how we're determining and figuring out what people are saying or what they're trying to say. Let's do a little experiment here. I'm about to say something, and I want you to think of the first thing that pops in your head when I say it, okay? Rose would pop up in your head. Was it a flower? And was the flower like floating in midair? Was somebody holding the flower? Was the flower on a bush? I bet every one of you had some type of different thought of what this could be. In addition to this, what color was it? Was it yellow, white, blue, orange? I don't know. Did some of you have the song Sweet Child of Mine pop into your head? Guns N' Roses, maybe? That might be the first thing that's popping up into your head, but I'm going to continue. What if I say Rose, right? So I'm about to say something else with the tone of my voice, with my body language, Rose. So now you might actually even be scanning your brain and trying to predict what I'm going to say next, right? You're trying to communicate. You're trying to gain that information here. Maybe some of you had a grandma named Rose, so you remember the sound of her voice or the way that she smelled funny. Nothing like a rose. Rosetta Stone. Anybody learning a foreign language right now?
¿Cómo estás?
Rosa Parks. That was Outkast for anybody who grew up in the 90s. For anybody who did not grow up in the 90s and doesn't know who Outkast is, they think of Rosa Parks as an amazing lady who helped initiate the civil rights movement. Even just adding Rosa Parks, people may have different connotations or different ideas in their head, popping up into their head and picturing what we're trying to communicate here. Not Guns N' Roses, not Rosa Parks, not Rosetta Stone. I was trying to think of Rose Window. Have you ordered it? Because we've got to install it in 2 weeks. So you could see with something as simple as one word, how different thoughts, different expectations, different perspectives all get added into just one word. And one word, that sounds like the most effective way to communicate to somebody, right? Nope. We need detail, and lots of it if you're going to depend on just words. Words account for only 7% of actual communication, so you better be good at writing emails if that's how you are going to communicate with your team. In-person discussions and meetings are going to be our best opportunity for the most effective communication. And I know that this is not preferred by a lot of people, but if it's going to be anything other than transmitting documents, which is sometimes referred to as lean communication, this is going to be your best opportunity for the most effective communication, either in person or on the phone. On the phone still isn't even as effective as in person because they can't read your body language cues. We'll have to go over nonverbal communication in another video because there's quite a bit of information in there that's picked up by your brain subconsciously, whether you realize it or not, and you're actually transmitting this as well. But we'll have to cover that in a separate video. I would love to cover it in this one, but we're already cramming a bunch of information into this one just so I can get it over to you. So next time. Effective communication, like I was saying, is very difficult, and it takes a lot of time to make sure that we can get as close as we can to transmitting 100% to our team and to our other people, especially in construction. So making sure that we don't assume that everybody knows everything we're saying 100% of the time, and ensuring that people truly do understand our intent and what we're trying to communicate, that then becomes effective communication.